Now we do have to go on here, guys. I want to talk about ENPH. ENPH is getting crushed again. Look at this. Now this is an interesting one because just earlier this week we saw SolarEdge get crushed as well. Both stocks were already trading majorly to the downside. This on earnings got crushed, went down to about 175, chopped around. It is starting to bounce back. But let's take a look at the daily chart. So we're trading at $81 per share. So the first thing I want to show you on this chart is you kind of had an inkling that this had a breakdown, right? This is the beauty of charts again. Look at this pivot point, and it broke above. Then it touched here, 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 and here, and finally broke down. You're now trading right around 80 bucks right down there. Now, as a technician, what am I doing? Well, number one, it's very steep in terms of the decline. I like charts like that. Again, the first thing I do is it a legitimate company? So you want to obviously know you're not investing in some piece of crap that's going out of business. But if it is, which this one is, right? I mean, ENPH, you know, they do make solar inverters or whatever the heck it is, and they do that stuff. But ultimately, the question is, okay, it's down huge. Where is a level of support for a potential bounce? To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to look over in this level. So we take that $80 level and we bring it over here. And what I start to see is I start to see some pivot points right in here. So let's do that right now. So where, if this thing dumps out, where would support tend to be? The first thing I see here, and I'm going to try to zoom in as much as I can for you guys. Okay, so we're zooming in right here. The first thing is we want to take a look and say, okay, what's this pivot high right here? That's at $70. Let's put a trend line in there. All right, so right away, there's a potential level around $70. Now, it's at 81 right now, but in the pre-market, it was down to 75. So it's not outlandish to think it could get to down to $70. And remember, you don't want to pay where it currently is. We want it discounted. I want it crushed. When it gets crushed, what it means is it means that people are panicking. They're freaking out, and they're dumping it. And that's where, again, when they're emotional, when investors are emotional, that's where logic and charts tell you, okay, what about a small position here, a starter position here? All right, maybe that didn't work out. Now we can dollar cost average. What we know is emotion tends to drive things to insane levels, both to the upside and the downside. And we want to be the logical traders with no emotion that say, okay, there's a pivot point here. We see this. Maybe we look at the RSI. We look at other factors on the weekly and the monthly, and we start to see support. So $70 for me starts to get interesting. There's also a secondary level just below that at $60. So just like with SolarEdge earlier this week, if you watched that episode earlier this week, I gave you guys a level. And by the way, that level on SolarEdge has worked out beautifully. If you bought, I think it was at $180, it went to like, I said buy every $3 down, and it went to like 175. And then, by the way, it bounced to like 185, 190 after that. But same kind of thought process here. Our two levels on this, and again, everyone has to do what you got to do, right? This is not financial advice. I'm saying what I will be looking to do today. I'll be looking to pick up some at 70, and then if it drops to 65, which is in the middle of that line right here in the middle, I'll buy another small amount, and if it drops to $60, I'll buy at 60. And the probabilities of a bounce at one of these levels is relatively good. All right, oversold, beaten down. At some point, you'll get short covering, you'll get buyers, etc. That would be how I would look to play this trade.